You're listening to Tripod, a podcast produced by Tricycle Creative to help safely navigate creative business owners through the worlds of digital marketing, strategic content creation, and business growth. Host Ross Erosion is a marketing coach, content creator, and entrepreneur who brings you helpful tips, social media updates, inspiring interviews, and his own unique perspective on how to tell your story and grow your business. So if you're interested in being a better marketer, business owner, or creator, sit back, relax, and let's get pedaling.
It's News Cycle, the monthly show where I am talking about all things digital marketing, updates, news, tips, what's on my mind, all of those things right here in the News Cycle show for March 2022, or if you would prefer, Smarch. Some people like that. I'm joined by Craig Dacey. Hello, Craig.
What's up? Smarch.
How's it going, man?
Who calls it Smarch?
I invented Smarch. So trademark, copyright.
It's like Fetch. It's not going to catch on. It's not going to catch on.
It's like, did you say like Fletch? Like the movie?
No, Fetch from Mean Girls.
I don't know what I'm hip. I'm hip. I know things. This is a movie talk, Craig. This is already a mistake. Craig, I brought him on because he's a client. Now I'm going to call him a friend. He'll deny it. But we're at the very least, PlayStation friends. So in his face, he can't deny that. And he himself is a financial coach for small business service providers. And he's a content creator. So I want to have you on because I think that you'll have interesting perspective and takes on some of this stuff. And if you don't, I'll edit you out.
Yeah, it's going to be, what do you think, Craig? Anyway, so next time, just splice me right out of there.
Or I'll just for whatever reason, I'll just really manipulate your voice. So it's like you're in like the witness protection program. Where
Ooh, I like that.
I think, it's like, oh, Craig is really... Craig, you want to talk? Just let's take the time right now. Talk about yourself. Where can people find you if maybe they are struggling with their finances?
Yeah, I can talk about myself all day. I didn't know this was what this was about.
Not,
all right.
No, 2 minutes.
Welcome to the Tricycle podcast where who needs a bicycle anymore? It just makes it easier for bullies to shove you right off.
He's hijacked that.
No, I'm Craig. Yeah, you know me. But I'm a profit coach. I work with small business, service-based business owners to help them take the insanity of cash flow and make it just so simple that they don't have to worry about it anymore. And so that's what I do. You can find me at craigdacey.com. You can find my YouTube stuff somewhere on the YouTube. The beautiful thing about being Craig Dacey is there's not many of us. So just
that's
Craig
pretty
Dacey's
good
everywhere. Yeah.
As opposed to all the Ross Erosions out there.
There's too many. Too many.
I think you just mean there's too much for Ross Erosion out there in general, as I think is what you really mean. And that's hurtful. Words hurt, my friend.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
Okay. Well, this is News Cycle. I do this show every month, and I bring to you the three, typically it's three, sometimes there's a bonus, but like the three biggest digital marketing updates, news, topics, or really just kind of trends, if you will. And so that's what we're talking about today. I have the first topic teed up and ready to go. So Craig, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Topic number one, we are talking Clubhouse cleaning. Actually, last month, I put a post inside the Marketing Clarity community. Why haven't you joined yet if you're listening? Go to Get Marketing Clarity. There's a module on there. You can join us there in the Marketing Clarity group. But I put a thing up there. I was like, hey, would anyone be interested or does anyone use Clubhouse? And it was...
Crickets.
What? Who? In the where? What? And that's really a bummer because Clubhouse, do you remember, or like the Clubhouse wave? I want to see like how far it permeated, if you will, into a non-digital marketer, right? Yeah. Are you at least aware of Clubhouse and its like big launch and all that stuff?
I am. Yeah. I was exclusively invited into Clubhouse.
Me too.
So,
Me too.
It's impossible. They said only a few people get selected. So
how did two schmoes like us get them?
Yeah. truthfully heard about it, jumped in there for a call or two. I didn't fully get it. It kind of felt like dinosaur software. I'm like, why are we regressing back to like phone conferencing? What is the point? I don't get it. Much just like everything, though. I don't get a lot of things and they end up being huge. I'm like, oh crap, I should have gotten that. But just couldn't jump on the Clubhouse bandwagon.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because it kind of was, this is weird, but so Clubhouse is a social audio app. I think that's how they even like market or talk about what they do. And it was kind of like this is radio in the digital age. It could be one to many, but you could open it up and people could, give them the authority and the ability to talk themselves and all that stuff. So I love being a former radio guy. I was like, I love this. I love this idea. But I did the same thing you did. Like I went in there and I was like, this feels a bit clunky. And it was hard to find conversations and things that I felt like I was interested in.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, it did also kind of feel like a lurker, like a creepy lurker where you're like, I'm listening to your conversation, and it's just like, now I will say this, the ones that I did join eventually after finding ones that I was like, oh, this could be interesting. I did find them to be pretty interesting, but they were few and far between and they weren't compelling enough for me to like go back in.
Right.
And the kind of crappy thing was, and this is where I think sometimes people get a little too clever for the room, where it's like, okay, for a long time, they didn't have replays and they didn't have the recording ability. And I'm kind of like, bruh, Clubhouse, bruh, I got shit to do during the day. Yeah. Like I can't join for a 1 hour thing at 11 o'clock Eastern time. It's kind of like this trade-off of like novelty to usability. And it didn't seem to balance it very well. And I was reading an article this month and some of the biggest creators on Clubhouse are now leaving.
Oh, shocker.
Right. And and one thing, the platform kind of they interview Clubhouse, I want to say maybe like a CEO or COO or a muckety muck there. And it was just talking about how the platform grew too fast and they couldn't support it, or they struggled to, maybe not couldn't, but like both infrastructure and platform, right? So the technology, like you said, and then just the audience.
It's crazy with that, with just growing too fast as we think about that. I mean, it doesn't even sound like that would be a problem. Like, hey, too many people are using it. Too much money's coming into my business. Like, sounds awful, darn. But it's true. It's true. You can be just so flooded, like what they were talking about, that infrastructure. You don't have the manpower. You don't have the technology. And I think I even saw that it was MLMs were like overtaking it. And
MLMs, always.
Speaking of, I have a really interesting opportunity for your listeners.
Dang it, Craig. No, this is a goddamn super juice, isn't it? Son of a...
That's right. It's not a pyramid scheme. You just got to recruit two of your friends, and if they recruit two of their friends, and then they recruit two of their friends, you will be poor. Okay, so
wow. I was hoping you'd say get that champagne Mercedes, but that's a real bummer. Well, this is also a good time for me to ask. Since I don't know your age, you don't have to disclose it, but as you approach 40, Craig, our testosterone levels really bottom out. So Frank Thomas is here. I wanted him to tell you. Never mind. Frank Thomas, no, you've been cut. Frank, you're out.
He's cut.
I was pissed. That was my whole budget this year. Why did you tell me to do that? What a stupid waste. Okay, maybe I'll get him on Clubhouse. Let's get us back on track here. Now, Clubhouse, they did say, they're kind of pointing to like, this part of the strength would be to their smaller, more collaborative communities versus like the broadcast style, right? So that's high value. I think they'd even pointed to like a D&D group that's like 7,000 strong that I'm assuming plays Dungeons and Dragons at some, with some regular clip, which is quite impressive.
Interesting.
I never got it. Did you ever get into D&D?
I had a buddy who insisted. He did what they call a one shot for us. We had a guys' weekend. We were going to play video games all weekend, which is what the cool kids do. And he decided to drag some D&D in, which honestly it wasn't terrible. He made one around the Ninja Turtles.
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty
D&D
cool.
for TMNT.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and we play. It was fun. We got about 2 hours in, and he was like, "Oh, you guys want to keep going, or do you want to go to the bar?" I was like, "The bar. Let's go to the bar."
Wait, do you mean the bar in the game? Did you go to the pub where the goblins had their brew?
We pretended to get drunk, and then we pretended to meet some girls. And
well, you can join that Clubhouse group if you like. So,
all right.
So I think the big thing with this, again, this article I read, not only do you have creators leaving, you have an audience of people who have the app like me, maybe like you, on their phone. I'm like, I haven't opened that freaking app in months, haven't had a reason to. Mm-hmm. To be fair, also, I don't even think they've even set up some sort of consistent, and maybe I turned it off when I first signed up, but like, you know, as annoying as people like to say, oh, those emails about reminders and things are, but it's like, that would be helpful. Like, it would be. If something were happening, but again, and I will say, they also made the update finally that you can now record a session for a later replay. So, okay.
Which is nice.
That's useful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like as a creator, that was the other, you talked about the art, the dinosaur like software. This is the other thing that drives me nuts. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more when we talk about Twitter Spaces here in a second is they all prioritize for mobile. But the problem is I have a really nice microphone on my computer.
Oh yeah.
The Apple mics are at least a little better on the headphones, but I don't want to use them.
Right.
They're not the good microphone I got for broadcasting. So it drives me nuts when you can't configure this to use it on your desktop. I get mobile first, but mobile exclusive at the detriment of desktop drives me a little nuts, right?
Yeah.
Plus, if you're managing a conversation, I also would find it to be easier to have a little more screen real estate. Maybe this is just me. Maybe this is just old man in the room because other people have figured this out. But like, as a creator yourself, would that annoy you that you like, okay, listen, these tools I've invested in, I can't use them?
Yeah. As a creator, I mean, when I sit down at my little hub and I've got my screens and to have all this set up and then I'm just speaking into my phone or plugged into my phone. Like, I agree with you. Consumer side, I get it to an extent, although, you know, I'm an avid Twitch consumer. I'm not a creator there, but having it, I use it more on desktop than anything. And to your point of email, I'm constantly getting emails. I'm like, oh, my streamer's live, and I'll pop it up and watch it. So a lot of missed opportunity, but as a creator, for sure, I would want to be able to sit on my computer, if for no other reason than just to have everything up where I'm usually creating.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the big elephant in the room, well, there's actually 2 elephants in the room here when we're talking about Clubhouse and its potential housekeeping or cleaning or closing, is Twitter Spaces, which is fully integrated into a platform, an existing platform with, I don't know how many users Twitter has, a lot of users, fully integrated. Now, I tried to do a Twitter Space, again, about 2 months ago, and it was the worst experience I've ever had in my life. They've made a lot of updates to it, though, I know, in this month, in March.
Yeah. So
I may give it another try.
Okay, I was gonna say, did it burn you, or you're going to give it a shot? Like, having one bad experience, will you usually go back?
Okay, here's where I was hot. I was hot after it, because I was trying to do it with a co-host, similar to this show. And it just was the clunkiest shit I've ever dealt with. And I hate that. So that was really obnoxious. But I know they have been putting a lot of resources towards Spaces in Twitter, even so much so now that it is one of the bottom 5 icons now on Twitter. It's like right there front and center for you.
Okay.
And the other one is a brand new service that Amazon is launching. I think it's by invite only. Let's try to get that.
Ooh. There was before we jump off the Clubhouse. There's their problem is they stopped doing invite only, didn't they? It was just open to everybody now.
I also, whenever they do invite only, and then it gets into, particularly in the circles I'm in, where it's like, hey, anyone want to pay for an invite? I'm like, wait, just give it 2 months. Like, probably don't even want to be in there. It's probably a hot mess. So I'll just wait. I'm not paying for an invite. It's ridiculous.
Nope. Did you know, this is 100% true, that 98% of Clubhouse streamers are on the toilet pooping while they're streaming? So,
oh God, I believe it. That's where I am now. So I totally understand. Sorry, spoiler alert. So the other, I don't think it's a smaller elephant. In fact, maybe it's a bigger elephant, but is that Amazon is launching a social audio app hub also. That's going to allow you, it's going to combine audio and conversation and music.
Oh, everyone's 3 favorite things.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can actually play music legitimately, legally, and have it be truly, like I talked about at the very beginning, this communal radio thing, which I think is super cool. I do a podcast. It's much neglected. I do another podcast personally, but it's a music podcast. I'm able to do that through Anchor. So Anchor is owned by Spotify. So if you want to do a music podcast, you can actually still do it legit on the up and up by using Anchor's platform, because it integrates with Spotify and you can play music right there in there. It's a one-to-many model.
Yeah.
This integrates that community aspect too. So
interesting. Okay.
I think if you're a brand out there or an entrepreneur who I think maybe even enjoys or is related to music entertainment, these are some great new outlets that are coming in, subject matter expertise also when it comes to Twitter Spaces, things like that. But Clubhouse, I don't know, feels like the for rent / eviction sign might be put up soon.
I think so. I mean, it seems like the writing's, well, it's hard to know if the writing's been on the wall, because again, I'm more of a dinosaur than the technology of Clubhouse, but I haven't adopted it. So to me, it's been dead for 2 years because it's somewhere buried in my phone. You're dead to me. You're dead to me.
So we got Clubhouse on the decline, but we got another platform on the rise. Topic 2. It's TikTok time, baby. TikTok time. I want to tell you, Craig, and you'll say, I don't believe you. Shouldn't have, why'd I even give you that ammunition?
You are a liar.
For the better part of 3 months, my marketing assistant has been like, you should be on TikTok. Now, I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult. Not both. Really sure. It's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah. Both. Mm-hmm.
But then I had a conversation with Jill Saskingales, the Google Ads guru. You can listen to that episode here on Tripod. Get it at tripodpodcast.com or just download it in your feed wherever you get podcasts. It's called The Beginner's Guide to SEO and SEM. And she built her business off of TikTok. And I was like, whoa. Like, this is the first time I'd actually met someone, not read about someone.
Right.
That did that. And so I was like, okay, might finally be the time for me to get in here and see what's crack-a-lackin'. Okay?
See what the teens are doing. The kids these days.
It's not, that's not what I said when I went in. I did.
Hey, all you cool
let's see what the teens are doing. And then I opened the app. Like, that's the creepiest way to enter a room ever.
Ross is lurking in there more than he was in Clubhouse.
It's not true. Now, November 2021, it was projected TikTok would have 1.5 billion users in 2022. They are, as of January, I couldn't find any, they didn't do a huge deep dive, but they're at 1 billion users as of January 2022. Now, let's just put that in context a little bit. It's, I think, significantly less than Facebook, but more than Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram is at, they're tied. Instagram is at about 1 billion, but from the things I've been looking at, you're starting to see in Instagram starting a little bit of a plateauing, and TikTok just is not stopping. it keeps growing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what you're saying. I don't do lip sync videos. And I'm saying to you, get off the lip sync videos. It's not, I'm telling you, it is not what TikTok is about. TikTok is freaking amazing. It is so, I'm so hooked. It really is. And it's because it's actually incredibly valuable. I'm bringing this to you because I think that this might be something that you should consider leaning into. Now, I get it. Peanut butter and pickle sandwiches aren't for everyone, but it doesn't mean they're not delicious. Okay.
It does.
Maybe TikTok's not for you. Okay. But I would recommend before you just throw it out, create an account, go in, follow some look for some hashtag, whatever your interests are, and look up things, follow some people, right? It's okay to be a lurker. I have found TikTok to be the absolute best platform at presenting things of interest without me even having to follow people.
And it gets in front of people. I mean, let me preface with
of course,
the only experience I have with TikTok is funny videos that people will send me. And so that's probably where a lot of these preconceived notions are with business owners, that TikTok it's largely because I haven't taken the time to investigate. But in my brain, I'm going, okay, how is it used for business? I can't picture. And maybe that's what I need to look at.
I'm not saying that I am the gold standard by any means.
You are.
But you can follow Hello Tricycle on TikTok. Give that a follow. You can also follow, I would highly recommend following my friend Jill, the Google Pro. And I think there's some underscores. I think she's the _Google_Pro on TikTok because she does a banger. That's what the kids say. Not really. They said that like 5 years ago.
You have been on TikTok.
You have kids, so you would probably know better than I do. But she does such an amazing job of how you bring business into kind of TikTok, because as platforms grow, they mature a little too, as far as their user base. Typically they start with the kids and then they get a little older and then they get to me, but still TikTok's growing despite, even though they get to me. They're savvy, but I think they're engaged. And I think it's I have found it to be a very positive community. Not to say this is going to be what happens to you, but I've been on for about a month. And I've been doing like a video a week. Okay. And I actually had someone reach out to me and I had a sales call from it. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be everyone.
No, you are. You hear that, everybody? Get on TikTok. Within 1 week, you are guaranteed to have a client.
If not, invoice Ross Erosion, or don't you do it. Okay.
One of thousands of Ross Erosions out there. You're lucky.
That's right. If you can find me, good luck, sucker. It's very addictive, but I will say it's kind of difficult to consume for me as much because it is so, because it's exclusively video centric, right? Yeah. So, sometimes I can't have the audio on all the time, which still, because of the overlays, you can usually get the gist of a video. But so I don't find it as easy to kind of consume as a Facebook feed or an Instagram feed, that kind of thing, where it's pictures, photos, links. It's not all of that stuff. Now, let's talk a little bit, Craig, about some of the statistics I got here, because I think this is some good stuff.
Yeah.
TikTok has considerably more engagement than Instagram or YouTube. They have some, let's see, they say micro influencers. So I don't know how they define that. I'm just looking at this. I'll put the link in the show notes at tripodpodcast.com. But let's just go with it. Micro influencers. So I'm assuming those are like niche influencers. Engagement rates of roughly 18% on TikTok. Whereas on Instagram, they're looking at 4% and YouTube at 2%.
Wow.
Right. So a lot of engagement. Now, is all engagement created equal? Not necessarily, but I will say of all the platforms, I am definitely getting the most reach. And when I'll define engagement as like at least a view of my video on TikTok than any other platform. Now, again, you have to put that in context though.
Right.
TikTok video is anywhere from 10 seconds to 3 minutes, right? So not all engagement necessarily created equal. Let's see here. TikTok users spend more than 850 minutes per month on the app. Sounds like a lot.
Well, and on that time you spend on there too, that just sparks the question of the dangers of, as business owners, getting sucked in. I remember for years when Facebook would actually engage me, it was, I would go in there to post in a group, or, I was admitting these groups, and then I would look down, an hour had gone by because I just got into the zone. Does TikTok suck you in? That I assume it does. That's how they're designed.
It does. But I'll say this. For me, weirdly enough, I've really disconnected myself from a lot of social media in the past year and a half. I think it's because I was so heavy into it for so long, both personally and professionally. Now, personally, I'm just kind of like, I don't need to share every photo all the time. Like, it's weird how it kind of comes back, and like, you're like, oh, I kind of enjoy the privacy a little. It's a weird thing. But I will say, sometimes when I would get sucked into that Facebook thing, I'd be like, yeah, that was a waste. Like, I don't feel like if it was of any use. I feel like on TikTok, whatever even little amount I get sucked in, I'm like, whoa, I actually just learned like a lot, like, which is crazy. So I think it's something that I wanted to bring to you, the listeners, because, Craig, you and I, we just completed your marketing clarity coaching program. And I think one thing we talked a lot about was kind of the level of effort when it comes to digital marketing against the return. And I think that's something that you constantly have to be kind of evaluating, you know? And part of me is like, if you're spending even an hour on Facebook creating something and putting it out there, would maybe half that time is better spent experimenting with TikTok and seeing what happens there. Do you get more engagement? Do you get more follows? Do you get more comments? Do you get people reaching out to you? This is the, I would say, exhausting but exciting aspect of digital marketing.
You have to keep doing that too, don't you? I mean,
yeah.
Outside of Facebook, who I won't even predict they're going to go down at any point, because I would have guessed they would have gone down 10 years ago. Most of them don't stick around all that long. And so, or they stop working, or they change their algorithm, or they change something to where you're constantly like, okay, now where are the kids hanging out now? Where are people going for their business advice? And so interesting.
And I'm very careful too, not to be like, just jump on something because it is new. Because honestly, if you and I had jumped into TikTok 6 months ago, 8 months ago, it may not have been as kind of, I think, ripe or ready an environment for us to use it. And I want to be very clear on this, on a meaningful but impactful way, right? Because you said something earlier. It's like, oh, geez, here comes Ross to ruin it, which is true.
Yeah.
But even myself, as a user of these platforms, once kind of the floodgates open and it does become, it's like, oh, all businesses are welcome. A lot of times those platforms just, they feel different. And what I'm saying right now is TikTok feels so positive, such a great energy, so educational, that it's a really good time, I think, if you've even been thinking about it, to give it a try. It doesn't mean that they maybe won't open up advertising like most platforms do, and then they're like, oh my God, this platform, or, they have to readjust their algorithm or whatnot. Listen, stuff changes. What I'm saying as I sit here now, looking back, the March 2022, it's a really, really, I think, positive environment for small business owners, small business marketers who are also creators to jump in on. Let
me ask you a question. And maybe you talked about this in your other podcast. I've never listened to the show before. So I have. Had to sneak that one in there. But how long does it take? I mean, is it, as you're talking about that time for content, and honestly, I've wished there was, and maybe that's what this is, something I could just whip out my phone and quickly just record like a quick, can you make a video really quick? Is it supposed to be looking rough around the edges, or does it take time to edit and curate and similar like a YouTube would be?
That's a great question. Great question. Because I think this is what's important when you first get in there, right? Just consume, be that lurker. And what you can do when you first get in there is if there's a video and you're like, oh, that was an interesting way they presented that, right? Or I like that style. You can just long press on it and bookmark it. And then what you can do is you can go back and find those and you can see, oh, this is how this person structured it. Particularly if you're first learning how to do TikTok, which is kind of like, what they call like jump cut videos, right? Now, I did a TikTok this morning. And I'm going to say it took me 20 to 30 minutes. Okay. From start to finish. Now, I probably put in maybe 20 minutes throughout the week of just like tinkering with the structure of the video, because that is something you have to do a little bit. So let's just say all in an hour, right? But that is much faster than my YouTube content, right?
Yeah.
My YouTube content is usually like an hour to record, 2 to 3 hours to possibly edit, right? Depending on the video, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And my approach is, this because you've heard me say this, Craig, and I think our listeners have probably heard me say this too on many shows, but like, don't let perfection get in the way of production.
Yeah.
It is so true when it comes to TikTok. It doesn't need to be the most beautiful thing. It really doesn't. And I think that's a big appeal, at least to me, where it's like, yeah, I could do this on a bit. Now there is a learning curve of like, okay, putting the text overlays and setting the timing and stuff like that. But it takes a fraction of a time to do than my YouTube videos. And honestly, we've talked about this as in part of the Clarity coaching program, but like, these are different audiences, potentially, right? The person looking for your longer form content on YouTube may be coming from search, may be coming because you directed them there, maybe coming from your website. They may be at this part of your sales funnel where they're a little warmer or they're actively looking for something, Whereas this audience, potentially skewing a bit younger, potentially probably skewing a bit more tech savvy, right? But this is more like they've expressed an interest in kind of this general area. And again, it's getting fed to them in this really quickly digestible format. So I've even taken some of my like 5-minute, 8-minute, 10-minute YouTube videos, and I'm like, let me just cut it down to the core.
All right.
And translate them to TikTok.
It's a good idea.
So if you are already creating content for YouTube, this is not necessarily an either or. This is take one video a month, cut it down, and throw it up on TikTok. Because YouTube has come out with a competitor called like Shorts. Yeah. And have you used Shorts at all?
I haven't. I've seen them, but
I don't find them to be useful.
I think without a good news feed,
just
the amount of steps it takes to be on that YouTube homepage, see a short that's 30 seconds long, click on it, have it open up, and then go back to the home. It just, you've lost me. There's no ease of just like flipping through. And maybe there is, and I haven't found it on the app, but it's not as easy.
No, you bring up a great point. Which just further reinforces it's different expectations of the content for that platform.
Right.
When I go to YouTube, I'm scrolling through and I'm looking for medium to long length videos.
Right.
But TikTok, that's not the expectation, And the last thing I'll say on TikTok is one of the other reasons why I finally kind of come around is I think they have a really good chance of survival. This is a very real thing, but because of the political landscape right now. And what I mean by that is years prior, if TikTok put its head up and they threatened Facebook like TikTok is threatening Facebook now, Facebook would just buy them.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, merge, acquisition, whatever, it's fine. But this administration, the Biden administration, is very clearly kind of have their eyes on tech. And Facebook's kind of in a double predicament where they're losing users and they can't go to their old reliable of like, I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah.
So I think TikTok's got a really, really good shot at survival.
Interesting. Oh, you've convinced me. I'm going to check it out. I'll go watch your ticks. Are they called ticks?
Uh-oh.
Hey, kids, are they called ticks? Do you call them ticks? Talks? Do you call them... Watch your clocks? Yeah, twerks.
Twerks. We're going to go... I'm going to say... Let's go to the next topic. Topic number 3, rounding out this episode of News Cycle for March 2022. You can get the show notes, links, tripodpodcast.com. It's another T platform, Twitter tools. Are you on Twitter? Are you on the Twitter?
Oh, I have a Twitter.
You have okay. That's very common. Have a Twitter. You open it up once a week.
No, I open it up when I'm hunting for a PlayStation 5, which I'm not doing anymore.
Which you're done now, so you don't need to do that.
And during like baseball off season when there's trades, they just finished the lockout, so there's just a ton of trades going on. So I was on Twitter a lot.
Baseball guy.
Ooh,
you Braves?
Braves, that's right.
Right?
Yeah, it's my team.
Didn't they just lose their like one of their big players or something?
Next topic.
I say that. Oh, okay. Sorry.
No,
this
they
is baseball
did.
Talk with Ross and Craig.
That's right.
Actually, you can have me on your baseball podcast, which I don't actually know if I don't think you have one, but if you did,
it's called Talking Balls.
Would come in like the I would come in like the you here. I would know nothing. I don't know nothing about baseball.
Derail the whole conversation. It's
got a bat and a ball.
Score goals, units,
score
points.
Home runs with your bat. And this has been the Sports Chat with Ross and Craig. Love to hear your calls. No, okay. All right, Twitter. I just want to share real quick with the audience because I think not everyone, but many of the listeners are like you. I have a Twitter account. I go on Twitter once and again. Twitter, I've talked about it at length on other podcasts, particularly with Kayla. You can go back and listen to that one. But Twitter's really good for live events when things are happening live. I do enjoy the Twitter, that kind of thing. But Twitter this month, or at least I found this month, 3 really interesting tools, which I wanted to share with people because you can use these tools like not just on Twitter. So the first thing is they released a 2022 Twitter planner and you can download it. It's a downloadable PDF. It's really great. And again, I'll put the link in the show notes at tripodpodcast.com because I'm scrolling through it right now as we're talking.
Yeah,
it too. Is 69. It's 69 pages. Are they messing with us right now? Come on.
Twitter. Making me blush.
What you're doing there with your jokes. Okay. It's 69 pages worth.
And 420 ideas. Yeah.
And 666 tweets. What the hell's going on here? Okay. But this is a really great guide. Now, I will say, not because they've written me off at all, but people who go through my coaching program, they get a very nice content planner too. I'm going to take some things from this. No, take that, Twitter, because there's some really great, useful things in here. And you don't have to just use this for Twitter. Like, this is a great, great guide. So I highly recommend you go and check that out. Now,
they should be selling this. I mean, let me download it for download. No,
download
Twitter.
And put your brand on it, and then you're going to sell it.
Go to CraigDacey.com/stolen planner for your planner, only $999.
Your logo is just pasted on top of the Twitter, but like not even in a good way. Like the Twitter bird wings are out from the sides of it, or you've just put your face on the Twitter bird's face. You know, it's just a poor attempt at thievery.
Good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea. The other tool. Now this has been out for a little while, but it's called Revue by Twitter. REVUE. And let me look at what the website is here. Get Revue. REVUE.co. And it allows you to create a newsletter and distribute it and get signups to your Twitter feed. And it's like a Twitter product. So like you can build, it kind of has like what's called like a WYSIWYG builder for your newsletter. And you do it like on this platform and then you share it right out on Twitter. It's a weird hybridization, but for those of you out there that don't have a newsletter, I mean, chances are if you don't have a newsletter, you're probably not like spending a ton of time on Twitter. Let's just be honest. But if you do have a big following on Twitter and you're like, oh, I've done a newsletter, like this might be a really great first step.
So that one, I guess that's the question, because that one was confused the hell out of me when I was looking at it. I'm going, okay, what problem are they solving? What is the purpose of this? Is it really just for people who don't have an email marketing campaign platform?
I think it has to be, right? I think it's for people who either...
It's for people who want to use more than those limited characters to talk to their audience.
Yeah. I think there's like this overlap, right? Where you either have an audience or you're working to grow your audience. You want to make what I would call it, because it looks like it's inline content on Twitter. So like I click it and it's right there. So you don't, from what I'm seeing, it doesn't look like you kind of like leave the Twitter platform, right? So there's that. So for other almost Twitter users.
So is it like a blog or is it like a...
Yeah, it looks kind of like a mini blog, if you will. But it lives on Twitter. And
it's live, right? Or no, it's just coming out?
It is. Yeah, let me look here. Yes, it looks like you can sign up for free. And people can subscribe. It says can subscribe to review newsletters directly from your tweets and their Twitter profile.
All right. Tune in next month when we talk about the fall of Twitter Review.
The fall of Review. I think this is an incredibly niche-y thing. And I will say this, Twitter, I mean, they're all platforms are guilty of this, but like, I feel like Twitter has been the guiltiest, where it's just like, they'll roll something out and they'll be like, nah, scrap it.
Yeah.
Which sucks, you know? But listen, if it's broke, then, or no one's using it, then why bother supporting it? You know?
Completely. I completely agree. It does feel niche-y. I'm thinking who benefits from this? Probably just Twitter personality, like people who, small business owners, and maybe there is a use for it and somebody will figure it out and I'm just not seeing it. I'm not the marketer here, but for a small business owner, I just don't see the benefit of that versus a standard newsletter with email marketing or a standard blog, unless you're just repurposing content into the Twitter space that you are also putting on your blog.
I would be completely honest with you. I like that you brought this up. Yeah, if we're going to value those three things, like, okay, I would put blog at the top. That's because I'm wearing like my SEO content hat, but you do a blog, you can repurpose it in a lot of ways. Plus, if it's strategic, you get SEO value. Second, email newsletter, at least you own all those emails. People sign up for it, opt in for it. You can get data, you can get stats. And again, I don't know what data or stats you get here. And then third, and I'm sure there's something between number 2 and number 3 here, but would be review. Yeah. Because, you know, you don't get, and again, I don't know, but like deep analytics, it's not on a platform you own. And you can't really share this. The pro that it's in line on Twitter is also the con.
Yeah.
Is that I don't know if it goes past that, you know? So maybe go, you know, if you are one of those people, which is probably not many of you out there, but you can go, again, getreview.com. And the last thing I just want to bring up, this is a quick one.
Oh, glasses.
I put on my glasses for the listeners at home. Oh my God. Wait, let me, hold on. For those of you listening, I really got to mark the tape. When both Craig and I have glasses on, this is when we get smart. So brace yourself. Is Twitter just built in a GIF ability in the camera on Twitter? Was that the smartest thing that I have said today?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That is disappointing. That is a real...
You can go to bed now. You've peaked.
Bummer.
Your day has peaked.
Good night, everyone.
Everything else. Good night,
everyone. Leave on a high note. Bye, everyone.
We are all now stupider for having listened to that. Nowhere in that incoherent rambling.
Costanza style.
Oh, man.
Do you say GIFs or do you say GIFs? And I just want you to know this will affect our friendship.
Well, it's not peanut butter, so it's GIFs, right?
Thank you. That's the right way.
For graphic.
If you take nothing else from this episode at whatever, the last handful of minutes of the episode that you've been listening this whole thing, and you're like, I haven't learned anything. And finally at the end, I'm telling you, it's GIFs. I don't want to hear otherwise.
Yeah. There's 3 absolutes you can walk away from. Pronounce GIFs. The world is flat. And the moon landing was faked. So that's... I
don't remember those other 2. I remember the first one.
Very
really
true.
Don't remember.
All fake.
But if you say so, I'm not listening that much when I talk. So it works out perfect. This has been Tripod and it's been News Cycle for March 2022. Again, show notes, tripodpodcast.com. And you can listen online or listen wherever you get your podcast. Craig, let's throw out one last plug for you. Where can people find you and what do you do?
You can find me at craigdacey.com, a brand new, beautiful website being built by Tricycle Creative, no other.
Oh my God, that's me.
Yeah. Oh, wait, this is a plug for me.
I told you I don't want to talk about the edits on air.
Oh, it's been awful. No, I'm just kidding. It's craigdacey.com. If you are a small business owner who is struggling with cash flow, that's what I do. Love to help you out. Be more profitable. Take home more money.
Oh, love it. Go on that trip this summer, for God's sakes. It's spring. Spring is springing here in Austin right now. And we've all been stuck inside with our masks on.
Yeah.
Now is the time to talk to Craig, book a call with him so that you can save up some of that money, put it in a vacation fund, and go on a trip.
You heard him, ladies and gentlemen. COVID is over. Ross Erosion, everybody.
That's not... Dang it!
Thanks for listening to Tripod. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. For show notes and past episodes, go to tripodpodcast.com. Connect with Tricycle Creative on social media at Hello Tricycle and learn more about how we can help you with your marketing at tricycle-creative.com.